I want to begin by thanking you for the invitation to address the opening of what I'm sure will be a very successful meeting. I was asked to talk about the state of science education today and the future possibilities. This is quite a tall order for 15 minutes, so I'm going to use what I know about the UK to make some hopefully valid generalisations. I apologise in advance to anyone who feels I won't have done justice to some of the current developments. Let me also say a word about the reference to university science in the title of the talk. University science is what I know about, but I hope that what I have to say will be of interest to everyone here. Universities control the gateway to tertiary education, and this feeds back into the secondary and primary sectors. And universities teach future teachers, which closes this feedback loop. So first, a quick overview. We're in a period of transition in which the role of the university is evolving in response to external pressures, increasing participation rates and expectations of economic impact. These have been the drivers, and they still are, even if they don't apply equally to all countries. Then I'll go on to talk about what I've called the engines of change, or if you like, the internal levers we have with which we can respond to these external drivers, to ground how we teach and what we teach. So by engines here, I mean the structures through which we operate and not the motive power. An important point is that although the pace of change in universities appears glacial to those of us in the system, looked at over the 1,000 years of their existence, the evolution of the role of the university in society becomes obvious. The role of the university is not fixed, but socially negotiated. The key transitions, as far as we're concerned, are the increasing role that universities are expected to play in driving economic development and in social engineering, at what to many seems to be the expense of cultural enrichment. Most recently, the drivers have been increasing participation rates, moving universities from an elite system to a mass system of tertiary education in a context that obviously doesn't simply scale. So demand for lawyers might be infinite, but that for academics in medieval poetry certainly isn't. The increases in tertiary education on the slide in different parts of the world range over this period from a factor of 2 to a factor of 10. This expansion of universities has been supported since World War II, and in the United States especially since the Soviet Sputnik satellite, with a focus on the development of science-based economies. So, has the university sector delivered? The emphasis of the answer probably depends on which country you work in, but there are some common themes. Certainly, politicians in the UK don't seem to think that universities have delivered. These are some of the issues. The popularity of science for young people is especially lacking, not only in the UK, but in many parts of the developed Western world. Expressions of interest in science diminish as students move through the system, with the result that most science graduates in the UK do not go on to specifically science careers. Also, we rightly worry about the attainment gaps, where the largest determining factor of a good science degree seems, in the UK and the US at least, to be parental income and gender. And that, of course, is related to social mobility. One of the major changes in my academic life has been the recognition of the importance of professional skills beyond the ability to pass a specific type of written examination. So, how do we change? First, we need research to provide an evidence base for change. My belief is that it will reinforce the move towards active learning, and I'll explain why in a moment. I'm sure we'll hear more about this at this meeting. But we don't need more research to tell us about the skills gap. I don't know how much of an internationally recognised problem it is, but in the UK I've been hearing about this from graduate employers for the whole 45 years of my academic career. We should be able to show the skills gap, the gap between what skills demanded of graduates and the graduate skills that our students have on graduation. We should be able to show that that gap is addressed through embedded skills, students as apprentice researchers, because the skills of the academic researcher are little different from the life skills of the successful citizen. And again, we'll hear more about that at this meeting. We need research that informs us how students learn, and therefore how to teach, which is where meetings like this are crucial. We need to make sure that we build on what we discover, and that we don't continuously rediscover the same things. What we do know is that learning implies persuading the brain to rewire itself. That's the physics of learning. Outside formal education, this is achieved through intrinsic feedback. Feedback from the task, not extrinsically from a mark for the task. Intrinsic feedback arises when students do something authentic, that is to say, through active learning and authentic assessment. I believe that the research shows that active learning leads to better student engagement and a reflective approach. And this brings me to what is in the UK, at least, now referred to as employability, the tension between vocational education and cultural growth, knowledge for its own sake. You can see how this idea took off around the year 2000, at the turn of the millennium. And on the slide, you can see also my repackaging in terms of Bloom's taxonomy of the professional attributes gleaned from the employability literature. My argument here is quite simple. Curriculum design can achieve both vocational and cultural values. I also see a move towards greater interdisciplinarity, because many of the applied problems in science are interdisciplinary. I don't buy the idea that this produces students who know nothing of everything. and our own research points to the opposite conclusion. For students going into a wide range of science-related careers, a broader background is an advantage. But there's another reason to anticipate interdisciplinarity. The role of the modern university is, above all, that it has to promote the ethos of sustainability, not just in optional modules or in the management of the estate, but in the ethos of the curriculum. And that means a curriculum that crosses current discipline boundaries. It also means an ethos that accommodates economic and cultural values, that resolves the tension I spoke about. Finally, let's mention the main engine of transformation, technology. The death of the lecture has been much overstated. Printing didn't supplant lectures, computers haven't supplanted print materials, but they deliver in a different, more cost-effective way. Computers can also deliver lectures more cost-effectively, freeing up time for the design and delivery of intrinsic feedback, for real learning. Obstacles here are the costs of delivering integrated multimedia materials which are able to fully exploit the technology, which are nevertheless unavailable in that level of scope to formal education, unlike their availability in the commercial sector. So I see here the development of user-friendly authoring tools as key. We need to be free to experiment, and that's something else that we'll be hearing about at this meeting. So, putting this together, many of us will have done a lot of experimenting in the past year. We can use the opportunity to embed those changes that have proved effective, build on them, knowing that change can be for the better. Let's try to construct a coherent student experience out of the innovative ideas floating on this slide. No longer let 1,000 flowers bloom, but let's seek to establish a few new hardy trees that will grow and flourish. So, if you want to follow up on this, you can contact me or read my book or other publications, and you can look at the work we're doing on the website of the Society for Natural Sciences. Do get in touch and tell us about your work. We'd really like to hear from you, and in the meantime, do enjoy this conference.